Today we are talking about our little missing embryo.
Missing.
Where'd he go?
Where'd he go? What happened?
Why don't he want to be with us?
Yeah.
Yet.
The downsides of IVF.
Yep.
We need to get branded coffee cups.
Fucking duh.
Duh. Why don't we have those?
Crazy.
Hello and welcome to Staying Up with Cami and Taryn. I'm Cami.
And I'm Taryn. And every night we get to have a sleepover. But every week we invite you to join us. Thanks for staying up.
Thanks for staying up. If we've ever dreamed of being newscasters, which I personally have not, I don't know if you have.
Of course I have.
Yeah, I figured you had. That really feels like it. Like, I feel like we are introducing the 6 o'clock news.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Stay. Or no, it's like midnight and it's like anything that happened.
Yeah, it's like
when you went to, like, you were going to bed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're like, gotta stay up with us. It's like 3 a.m.
Yeah, that'd be a cool show. If like you just can't sleep and there's like a news show on in the middle of the night.
Yeah, some like break. I'm sure there
I don't know.
is. No.
Now wait a minute. Who wants to fund
Aaron
this?
Parna does news 24/7.
Your obsession with Aaron Parna is unlike anything I've ever experienced.
I just think it's amazing. He posts videos all day, every day. He was doing a face mask the other day, and it was like, news is still happening. He was still out here.
See, normally I know people and you don't know people.
I know, I don't know
but
anybody.
There's a side of you.
If it's TikTok, I know I'm in the know.
It's TikToking to you.
It's talking.
But if some Aaron Parna is like, what does he does news?
Yeah, he does news.
Not everyone knows this, honey.
Everyone knows Aaron Parna.
I've never
You
heard of
cannot open TikTok without it being like, breaking news, breaking news.
Never once. I open TikTok many times a day, and I never get breaking news.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does he say his name, or do you just know it? Like, does he go, breaking news, I'm Aaron Parna, and here's a story?
I forget what his little thing is.
His little jingle?
Yeah, like what he's actually
What if
saying.
he's like, thanks for staying up? Just we
He's
have
been
some
now
news.
saying we have some news. I think people were sick of him saying breaking because he is first, but it was breaking news. But I think now it's just
Okay.
we have some news.
That sounds. I'm gonna freak out.
Breaking news right now. We have some news right now. No, we have some breaking news right now.
He mixes it up. We have some news. We have some news. We have some breaking news.
So I've never seen this man, and that's okay. But I was feeling very creative recently. I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram, but you may have noticed.
You got the bug.
I'm trying things. I'm spaghettiing. I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall.
But you're like not even that. You're just having fun. You're like following your passions, and that's really fun and nice to see.
Well, I was having fun doing this, like, what's trending, because I am on like a newsletter from Google.
Yeah.
That tells me the trending searches of the day. But it's mostly the trending, like what's explosive. So things that weren't trending that are suddenly trending.
Which is typically bad.
Which is typically bad. But what's actually the trending searches of the day are generally things that we all know about already. It's politics, it's disasters, it's
Yeah, you're not breaking that to
it's
anybody.
not breaking.
Yeah.
Nor am I like trying to be a breaking newscaster.
You're not trying to be Aaron Parnas.
I'm not trying to be Aaron Parna. But like so I thought this would be a fun thing for me until I did it for 4 days in a row. And I'm just like talking about the laws that Trump is enacting that takes away our rights every time.
Yeah, you're
I'm
like,
just
this is actually
so dark.
morbid. Like when you first were doing it and you were looking at the Google stuff and you were texting in one of our group chats and you were sharing things that like were kind of applicable to different people, whether it was like food or beauty or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that was fun to be like, hey, did you guys know this specific thing is trending?
I think I can
and that felt fun.
Yes, I can get back to that. And I also think what works on social isn't always me. Like, I like to just be I like to go on tangents. I like to like be silly, goofy girl. And
Be a silly goofy girl.
Cam was like, if you care to get people to watch this thing, it's got to be like tight and like share the shit. And I'm like, what am I doing? I made like 5 of them. And then at the end, I'm like, who's having fun here?
Yeah, you're like, this isn't me.
This isn't me.
I'm not enjoying it. Like, sure, this is cool content, but maybe for someone else to make.
Yeah.
Which is fine. And I think that's really important for anyone who is creating content. Like, it's such a balance. And I think the number one thing, you have to focus on what's true to you and what you like.
Yeah.
And then turn that into something that's shareable, or like find a way to have a viral moment. But number one is, do I like this? Do I enjoy making it? And do I enjoy consuming it?
Right.
That has to be number one.
And I think, I don't know if we just didn't have New Year's resolutions because life was insane and we didn't like sit down to be like, what do we want? But now I'm kind of getting in that mindset of like, what do I want my year to look like?
I feel like I do that most years.
Yeah.
Around like end of Jan, beginning of Feb.
Yeah.
I think it's so much like the holidays are the holidays. It's busy.
February. It's like end of February.
Yeah. Well, I did mine, but but yeah, I think sometimes like it takes a little like get into the year.
Yes.
See how the year's feeling and then assess. Like holiday time, New Year is so chaotic.
Yeah.
It's not always a proper reflection time.
Yeah.
It's like the Lunar New Year is honestly a better time to actually
That's beautiful.
sit down and figure it out.
But I've been thinking that like one of my goals for this year is to grow my following, but not so that I have more people just following me. It is truly, this is going to sound so dark, but like, well, there's a few things. One of them is like, obviously I like the community that I've built, and I'm sure you love the community you've built, and like that's a special thing to have online.
Yeah.
But also it's just smart. Like I'm like, if one day I want to write a book, I need like a built-in audience that already cares about the shit that I care about. If I want to like sell more Tumblr decks, it's like I need to gather those
like
people.
An email list.
Totally.
Where it is, if you do it right and you curate, like I said, things that you like and create content you like, you are going to find this niche group of people. Yeah. It's not about, can I get millions of followers?
No.
I mean, if your thing applies to that many people, great.
Yeah.
But if you can get a smaller group of people who really enjoy the same things, then it's just easy to get, if you are somebody who's a creative type who's making something, a book, a deck of cards, whatever it may be, now you have this built-in group who is most likely going to love this.
Right.
And it's beneficial for everyone. It's not just like, oh, people follow me, I'm successful, I can sell these things to them. It's, I can share a thing with you that you're really going to probably enjoy and get value from too.
Right.
It's like a mutually beneficial relationship.
So I think that's been like a better focus for me, because if you just want growth for growth's sake, you'll just do things you don't want to do.
Totally.
But if you want growth that is like actually beneficial to building a healthy, happy community, and that is like you are giving them stuff that they actually like, that's kind of what's taking me down the path recently of like sharing things that quite frankly I just find interesting. Yeah. And I'm assuming that if you follow me, you would probably also find it interesting. Yeah. And that's been really fun.
That's why I'd really like there to be a resurgence in whether it be Instagram or something like it, because I love TikTok. I love watching it. I really enjoy it. It is not very conducive for building communities in the same sense.
100%.
And that's why we see people, especially on TikTok, be in drama or get canceled or have a scandal every other day because their following base isn't always people who align with them in every way.
Right.
Like I'll find out somebody that I enjoyed a couple of their makeup videos like hates gay people, and I'm like, oh. Well,
it's also because you're kind of incentivized when you see something. It's like you go for a quick follow because you don't think you're going to see them again. It's like
it's fleeting. So you might follow someone that you like don't really check out.
You literally just watched one thing. Yeah. And you're like, sure, I'll follow you. Where like I would never do that on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is weird.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's harder. I think like the community on a platform like Instagram. Well, now Instagram is changing. Like most of my feed is people I don't follow, which is so frustrating because I'm like, the point of Instagram and the one good thing left with it is that it's this tight-knit community. But now I'm not even seeing my little communities I've built.
I know.
So now I have to like remember people I like to follow, which to me now it's really comes down to interacting with each other. I feel like I've recently rebuilt a new community on both TikTok and Instagram because I posted the other day, I was really bummed that a creator I liked found out that they have some very questionable beliefs. And I posted about it. And then somebody in the comments was like, hey, recommend following so-and-so. They're great. And
did you find out they didn't like Aaron Parno?
Yeah, exactly. And I was like,
she had to cancel him live.
You know, like Aaron Parnos, I'm out of here. But then I made another video and was like, hey, just like share some creators that you think are good people and create good content. And I found so many great people and smaller creators that are way more the type to like comment on each other's stuff, hype each other up. So now I have like a few people I recognize that I like always am making sure I'm commenting on their stuff. They're commenting on mine, and it feels nice. It feels like early social media.
What it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm like, this is good. I like it.
I don't know when it got like chuggy to comment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so funky that like when you go to comment on something, it feels like, whoa, I'm having a moment. You know when like, do you have a comment on that? You know that phrase? That feels so heavy. And then you're like, oh, fuck, I don't want to comment.
To have something important to share.
That's what commenting feels like now. Where
it like
it's
has
like,
to be some big thing.
What's your comment? Do you have a comment? And it's like, it can just be like, love.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
I don't know what is, but
yeah. Literally this one
that.
girl I recently started following, and I just like her content. I think like we have similar style, similar aesthetic, where I'm just like, oh, I get inspired by your stuff, I get ideas, and I just like everything feels very in line. And I literally commented the other day, I was like, I'm just sat here every time your content comes up, and I did like the shaking head emoji.
Cute.
Like, because I'm every time her stuff comes up, I'm like, I like that. Like genuinely like it.
That's really sweet.
So I was like, I'll say that too. Why wouldn't I say it?
Yeah. See something, say something.
See something, say something. We always come back to this. We've said this on the podcast. Like, say stuff to people.
Just say shit.
Yeah. Comment to each other. Have your little community. Like we have to work to make it.
Yeah.
So every complaint I have with social media, like I'm perpetuating that too.
Yeah.
I need to step up and try to like rebuild the communities.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, another tip for anyone. Sometimes people care about like how do you try to like when you're posting online, like how do you think about it? Well, I don't know.
Give us a how-to, baby. Come on, you don't need
to
justify it.
No, I just now that I'm running so many athletes' social medias, I'm like really in it a little bit more from like a testing perspective than I have been. And we've had some friends tell us to try trial reels, and if you can try trial reels, I would absolutely recommend it, because I posted a video like a week ago that like popped off on Reels. It got like 4.5 million views.
Yeah.
And I got like 4,000 followers from it or something from one video. I reshared the reel, same reel that I just posted a few days ago on trial reels. And it already has like 300,000 views, which is crazy because it found people. It found more new people.
Well, that's the thing. Right now, when we post, it generally is pumping it out to people who just follow us, which we know, as I just complained, I'm not seeing the people I follow stuff.
Right.
So sometimes it can get stuck. And things can take off. And obviously, 4 million people, a lot of those people don't follow you. You don't have 4 million followers. So it did get out to other people. But it's like a different way to get there. It was like someone who follows other people who follow you. Now with trial reels, like I said, no, I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing random people. It's sending it there. It's like, I can't change that Instagram is only feeding me stuff of people I don't follow. So now join in with them. Like work the system at least and do trial reels. And then, it might fall on some like weird pages and those aren't your demographics. And a video that got 100,000 views might get 100, but that's okay. Like that is trying to find like, hey, where are my people who we don't know each other yet?
It's literally built in like free audience finding. Yeah. Which normally you have to pay for that. That's what every brand has paid for in the entire existence of advertising. Is like,
you're like running an ad.
Just please give it to new people to see if they like me.
Yeah.
And Trial Reels just does it for free.
Yep.
But it's not free, obviously. It's free.
I mean, you're not paying anything.
You're not paying, but they're perfecting their data models based on
it's good for them
what it finds.
They're not doing it out of the goodness.
It's not like let's get you more followers. It's like, hey, let's get you spending more time.
Let's get other people on here more.
Insane.
Shall we talk about our transfer?
Yes, we shall.
So we've been a little coy about next steps because it was transfer and we didn't want to be too in real time sharing with the internet, with even a lot of people in our lives. We told people wrong dates. We didn't tell a lot of people that we were doing the transfer. We said our reasoning was because if it goes well, we want to be able to tell people on our own time. I mean, realistically, they recommend you don't tell people you're pregnant until after the first trimester, because that's when the rate of miscarriage goes down like by so much. But obviously with IVF, it's a little bit harder because a lot of people knew what we were doing. And then we also said, if it doesn't work, we don't want everyone like texting us on that day and having to tell everyone right away while we're processing. But I don't know about you. When I said that side, I was like just saying it. Like I wasn't thinking it wouldn't work. I was just like, oh yeah, same. And if it doesn't work, but I was just like saying it.
Yeah, I didn't think it wouldn't work.
Yeah. So basically what happens is for 3 weeks I did injections, and then
the first 2 weeks are estrogen, which is every 3 days, which is kind of nice. So it's not the daily shot.
Everyone's different. Like this is not the same. A lot of people don't do estrogen injections. Most people do like patches, pills, suppositories. But yeah, every 3 days injection.
Suppositories up your butt?
Yeah. Or up your vagina. I don't know where they go.
I wish we would have got that.
I know.
Would have been fun for everybody.
No, I don't think they're very fun for me.
Okay.
But
sorry.
Probably better than an injection. I don't know.
Okay.
And then as we shared with you guys about a mock trial, there's 5 days most people need of progesterone injections, and then you do the transfer because it's like a 24-hour time frame that you can get pregnant during this. But some people need only 4 days of progesterone, some need 6, 7, whatever it may be. We didn't do the mock to find out because most people recommended against it. So yeah, I did 5 days of progesterone.
It's also all the expense.
Yeah.
It's the same amount of paying for medicine. It's the same amount of doctor fees. So it's like, you know, if you don't have signs of infertility, it's not always recommended. It's kind of like, well, do you want to spend an extra couple $1,000s or whatever it is to like just double check? And it's like, no.
And like another month.
And
like
all that comes with it.
The hormones, the pain, all of it. And a lot of people don't recommend doing it until one failed transfer. Because even the info that you would get from the mock before a failed one, I guess, isn't always accurate. I don't know. There's so much information. It's really crazy. The process of the transfer was relatively nice. Like, it was a different office. Everyone there was so nice. Like, every nurse in there was an angel.
Before we talk about the actual transfer, you should talk about, like, what it did to your mental state.
Oh, I guess we didn't really... I thought that I had already touched on that, but I guess we weren't really talking about it a lot. Yeah, I think the estrogen after, it was also just like a really crazy time. Like we started this process while we were still in Orange County
because of the fires,
leaving from the fires. Yeah. Like it was hectic. But yeah, the estrogen wiped me out. It made me so depressed. I felt like an actual shell. I remember after a couple weeks on it, I think my body kind of started regulating. And I remember looking at Taryn and being like, I feel like I can see for the first time in weeks. Like, have you noticed I hadn't made eye contact? Like, I felt like I wasn't looking through my eyes. I was like, not out of my body, but just like back here. Yeah. Like I wasn't like at the forefront.
Yeah.
So
like
I felt like I was a
opposite
zombie.
of rose-colored glasses. It was like
blurry fucking glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were
just rough.
Yeah, just like really depressed, irritable.
Just
like
miserable,
just miserable. Yeah.
Like,
and nothing, you know, when your partner's depressed, you're like trying to do whatever you can to like help. But then me asking or guessing was never the right option either, which like isn't her fault. She couldn't have told me better. She couldn't have done differently. Like it was just that medicine wiped you the fuck out.
Yeah.
And we're not sharing this to freak you out. It's just that was
I'd rather people be prepared.
Yeah, that was what happened to Cam. And
it doesn't happen to everyone. I don't think it happens to most people, but it happened to me.
And also, we should note that you weren't steadily on your antidepressant.
I wasn't on it at all for a while at the time.
Right.
But we did talk about this already on the podcast.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if we did.
Yeah, because I remember talking about it. I am back fully on my Lux Pro every day, every morning. which I think is good because I'll have like a good base over probably like 2 months before we do another round of transfer. So that'd be really good.
Yeah, I'm thinking like if you have a propensity for depression already, especially around your hormones and stuff, it is probably worth talking to your doctor before you start this
100%.
process to see like, do we up it? Is it steady? You know,
Am I on the right thing for it?
Right.
Because I talked to my doctor when I decided to get back on it and was like, is Lexapro the right thing? Like, I've heard good things about Wellbutrin, and is this one safe for pregnancy? Is this not? So she told me like which ones she feels are the safest for pregnancy. So I stayed on the Lexapro.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just tough. And I wish I knew going in. I think like as somebody who suffers from PMDD, knowing that I'm going to feel down before my period takes the edge off.
Yeah.
Just knowing. Because then I go, I feel off today.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Be kind to myself. Be gentle. Move slower. Do something that I know is going to make me feel better. Like I can be prepared. I didn't know. So it really caught me off guard where I'm like, you don't really, even though it gets so extreme, it's like, you don't realize it's happening because it's gradual. So it was just like, I was like, yeah, this isn't fun. I'm getting stabbed. And I like get anxious over that. And then I'm like, okay, am I just annoyed that I have to do that? It kind of hurts. Okay, am I just like feeling off today? It didn't know how bad it was until honestly I was out of it and then looking back at it.
Yeah.
So that it would have been nice to be like, buckle up, this might be tough.
Yeah. So those couple weeks were pretty rough. Then you go in for the transfer, and
we were so excited.
we were super freaking excited, you guys. It was on Valentine's Day. No. It was
February 4th.
February 4th.
Yep. Tuesday, February 4th.
A fateful day. Really pretty place. Like it's in the same doctor's office, but like a different floor. So it was kind of exciting to like go to like, you know, you go to
It
the
felt so
same-
bougie.
It was a
It
kind of
felt
bougie
like
feeling.
really fancy.
Um,
They had like written on my little bed, it was like, welcome Camden. And it was like, normally doctor's offices are like harsh lights, really cold. Like they had the lights all dimmed for me.
It was like vibey.
There was like a big couch in the room. It was so cozy. It was warm.
Cam paid extra to have acupuncture before and after. Well, I guess we paid. I don't know why I said Cam paid. Out of her pocket.
Well, I didn't really give you an option. I was just like, I did it. I opted in.
Yeah.
I researched it. I chose.
That piece was expensive, but it really helped, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, who fucking knows?
I mean, it didn't work. I have read a lot about acupuncture pre and post transfer. I'm going to do it again.
You should.
It was.
And we need to add more.
Add more?
We need to be doing acupuncture around it more.
Yeah, we do. It was really expensive. I mean, the acupuncturist we've been going to more frequently is like so affordable. So I think it was $400 total for that pre and post. So that was a lot of money. But in my head, I was like $400 more when we've already invested this much for it to help.
Is, to be clear, not the affordable option.
Oh my God. I'm saying that
Yes.
I think a lot of people who get acupuncture, they're probably thinking like, that's not that crazy.
Yeah.
Because acupuncture can be really expensive. And it's like, it was private. She comes to the doctor's office and is doing it there. Of course, it's going to be expensive. But I think I have a skewed idea because our acupuncturist was really affordable.
Yeah.
That it was like 4 sessions were like $150. Like,
Yeah.
It just was nowhere near that.
Right.
But it was so nice. It's like I got there early. I lay down. She does the acupuncture before. It's really good to calm you and for circulation. And the woman was just the sweetest human in the world.
So
she
cute.
made me feel really relaxed about the situation. She removes
I
all
just
the
worked.
Yeah, Taryn's just like in the corner working, like
In the corner, like the fucking.
like a little gremlin, like you're facing the wall.
To be clear, I was not like in a
She was just
corner.
sat on the cozy
I was
couch.
sat on the couch in a really nicely lit room, kind of vibing out. But anyway.
I'm like trying to calm down because I get a little nervous during acupuncture, but I'm like, this is supposed to calm you, relax. She comes back in when the doctor gets there, takes the needles all out, and then we get started. It's supposed to be a very quick, smooth, easy process. It's like 10 minutes long. Mine
And,
was
like,
not.
It's like it like almost was comical because they kind of are like announcing things as it happens. So they would like come in and
the embryologist has to bring, well, first I'm laying there. He like opens you up, which I hate. It's so uncomfortable.
she's in them stirrups.
And as he is doing that and like getting started, right before the embryologist comes back in, he is like, oh, like he seems not concerned, but like
Surprise.
there's a little hiccup. And we realized that I have a tilted uterus, which I knew about and did share. So I was a little bit peeved at this moment. But as he's like saying, oh, your uterus is tilted. Okay, we're going to have to try something else. So I'm kind of panicked. The embryologist walks in with the catheter and she's like, embryo number 2AA male, like, and is holding it. I feel
Taryn Arnold Scott or something, because it was like my embryo. But it literally felt like we ordered fast food and she was like delivering it. And she's like, she announced it to this room of me, Cam, the doctor,
like,
and her.
I was like, yeah. But they have to, because it's like, you have to be by the books.
But and then, like, if it was wrong,
yeah, we'd be like, whoa,
we were just like impregnated Cam with someone else's embryo.
Yeah, they say some random name, and I'm like, who?
For Robert Boston.
For Boston Robert.
Okay, quick pause.
I'm gonna lose it.
Cam, as we've been speaking of, has been very depressed recently. So I haven't seen her really laugh in a minute. And we were very giggly 2 nights ago and last night. But 2 nights ago, she was like, just like,
I kept losing
giggling.
I had one martini and I was like, you would think I was wasted.
So there's this TikTok of like different restaurants, fast food chains that have gone out of town, or no, restaurants, I guess, that have gone out of business in the last like 5 years. And the first one, I don't remember what it was. The next one was Boston Market. And Cam goes, oh my God, Boston Roberts is out of town? I mean, Boston Roberts out of town.
Get out of town.
Boston Roberts went out of business?
And I knew it sounded wrong, but it didn't. It sounded so right. But in my head, I was like, why did I just say Boston Roberts? Who's Boston Roberts? But we've
been watching Traders, and Boston Rob is on.
Why did I say Boston Roberts? Why did I make it so fancy? I can't. It's not even funny to anyone.
I don't know.
I'm like, they're not laughing.
It was just so sweet because she was so concerned about Boston Market, but was
I
talking
used to
about
love it
Boston
when I was a kid. But oh my God, Boston Roberts closed.
And then I just couldn't stop thinking about Boston Rob. Okay, anywho,
where were we?
When she announced the arrival of our embryo.
She's like, 1 embryo for Boston Roberts.
Dude, I'd be like, impregnate her.
Put it in.
We'll have the best game player of all time.
Oh, man.
As a baby.
As a baby.
So she announces, they come over, they see her uterus is tilted. And he's like, we gotta untilt it.
Yeah.
Because basically how they put it in is it is a syringe.
Catheter?
It's a syringe that has a catheter at the end, isn't it?
It's just a full catheter.
But like they suck up the embryo.
Uh-huh. And then the embryo's
and
at the
then
tip of the
instead
catheter.
of a needle, it is a bendy catheter.
So they can get to the proper spot in your uterus. Yeah, yeah.
And so it like doesn't harm the embryo, I would assume.
Yep.
So it looks like a needle, but it's soft, basically.
Yep.
And she's carrying this big ass thing like Boston Roberts and goes to do it. And he's like, oh, we need to untilt her uterus. And we also need to use a firmer catheter.
Yeah.
Because if it's so loosey-goosey,
I can't get to where.
It can't get to where it needs to go, especially if they need to like untilt her uterus at the same time. So then he goes, okay, she's going to take the embryo out of the room.
And she like announces that too.
And she's like, I'm taking the embryo out of the room. And you know, she's
and
like.
I'm laying there like, fucking panicked because I'm like, what do you mean you have to untilt it? What does that entail? He doesn't tell me. To this day, I don't know what it entailed.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but I watched. I got as close as I could.
Why? I didn't know that.
You didn't see me?
No, honey, I was laying there like I was trying to go to a happy place because I was like, "What? This is
Boston
This
Roberts.
doesn't sound exciting." And it was already kind of hurting because he was like, he was like doing something in there. He was looking around, and I already was like, "Ooh, this isn't like excruciating yet, but it's not comfortable." And then he said something about a suture.
Yeah.
And
I need to use a suture to, I think he like lassoed something
I think so.
with a suture.
I don't know
And
how.
like tried to move something. He had big metal clamps.
To me,
It was crazy.
I didn't feel anything about a suture. I didn't feel a stitch. I didn't feel
I think a
rope
suture
around
is
me.
just what they use to do stitches.
I didn't feel any of that. What I felt
So you
is
didn't get a
it felt
stitch.
like he went in with metal kitchen tongs, like salad tongs. They grabbed my uterus and tilted it. And it was horrific. And I was like, oh my God. And he's like, not really warning. I don't know what's going on. Then he says something about it, like it hadn't happened yet, where he's like, I forget his specific wording of like, basically like, it's not going to be fun, but it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Where he downplays everything. And I'm like, dude, you don't know how bad it hurt. You've never had this happen to your body. So that always irritates me. But it was already hurting so much. I was like, oh my God, it's going to get worse. And then you were like, do you want me to hold your hand? And you came up. But then he was like, no, that's it. But it was still hurting in that time. Like, I don't know what he was doing up there that whole time, but it was horrible.
Yeah.
And then it stopped, but I was still uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, probably just residually hurt.
Yeah. And then he was like doing the transfer, and I was like trying to watch on the screen and enjoy it. But I was like,
Yeah.
having a little PTSD. Like, what the fuck did I
Then
just
she
go
came
through?
back in with a different catheter and is like,
Announced
I'm back.
baby.
And like,
I'm back with Boston Roberts.
yes. And like, baby Boston, baby Rob. Who no longer exists. Where the fuck is he? He's in there. He just is not.
Darren's convinced that like I am pregnant.
Okay. Well,
Honey,
we'll
I'm
get back
not.
to it.
Okay.
So that happens. They shoot it up.
Yeah. Shoot it up.
We
They
watch
slowly
it.
place it into a spot.
And
And then they have to leave and make sure that the embryo's out of the catheter
Right.
to make sure they didn't just shoot air bubbles up you.
Right. Then, yes. Then they carefully take the catheter and they're like,
Boston Roberts is leaving.
Boston Roberts is in fact gone, closed for business, out of town.
He's in there.
And then Cam got her acupuncture again.
That time I took a nap. It was lovely.
Yeah, you were vibing. I was in the corner
I made you
click-clacking
play
like a
me like
gremlin.
meditation music. I was like, and I just hear,
Did you?
yeah.
Sorry.
I'm like, this
So
bitch.
not relaxing.
Darren worked so much right now, like all weekend. It'll be 10 p.m. and she's like, I'm doing my embryo transfer.
No, don't make it sound like I wasn't present for that. I was fully there for that.
Yeah, but while I'm laying there getting my acupuncture,
What am I supposed to do? Watch you?
no, I'm just saying you've been working so much. Just trying to compliment you. Never mind.
Okay, fair. So whatever. Then we go home, and then Cam has to be bedridden for 3 days, and then house ridden
2 days
for
then
2
3.
more.
2 then 3.
The other way. 3 then 2.
Really?
Yeah.
I was out of it.
Yeah, you were. She was seeing stars. And yeah, during that you still have to give her the shots and the whole thing, and it was just like, and the whole time you're like, fuck, I hope she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Like,
This time is called the 2-week wait for anyone who doesn't know. And it's just the time from transfer to when you go in for your blood work pregnancy test. And it's horrific because you're just like, am I? Aren't I?
and my dumb ass is talking to her belly. I'm like, what the fuck?
Quit saying it's dumb. Like you keep saying like our excitement was so stupid.
I hear you. I won't feel this when it works. I'm just bummed.
Bummed is okay, but like dumb.
And that's just me being dramatic.
Yeah.
I hear you. But
Okay. Well, then you can say about yourself, but stop saying it about me.
me.
Yeah.
I'm saying my dumb
No,
ass.
but you have said like we took those photos with the nurse, and you're like, we're so dumb, blah blah blah. You can feel dumb. I don't feel dumb.
I feel that the pictures are dumb. I don't think we were
But
dumb.
the pictures would be really sweet if it worked.
I know. Whatever.
Anywho,
It's just like, now that it didn't work, you're kind of just like,
yeah.
I feel a level of, I'm not even mad at myself. I don't know how to express how I'm feeling. No, I'm just like, that I was so sure about something and manifesting something and talking to your tummy and doing all the things while like
it's annoying
nothing
to
in there.
feel so sure and be like, God, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Like my like gut was just so wrong.
Yes, my gut was wrong. And
not
it's
just
a
like,
bad
oh.
feeling when your gut is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
so
sucks.
she is in bed, all the things. Then February 14th, Valentine's Day.
No, before this, Wednesday night. So our pregnancy test is Friday morning, February 14th. Wednesday night, God, not even. Sorry. Monday, Frank has surgery. Frank had cancer. We didn't really share that with
I think we have.
Did we? Okay. Yeah. Frank had cancer and he had surgery to remove it on Monday. It was so hard because I had to drop him off really early in the morning. And then they had to do a big CT scan to make sure it didn't spread in his body.
We shared all of this.
That he had to, okay.
Yeah.
So, we did. We did because he had already. So that was just a very stressful time, Monday and Tuesday. So he's home, but he cannot run, jump, do anything crazy. So Taryn and I were taking turns sleeping on the couch with him to make sure he didn't try to come upstairs and jump on the bed with us or anything like that. So we feel like we have a newborn as we're taking turns watching him sleep. So Wednesday night, I go to sleep in the bed. You're downstairs on the couch. I wake up at 1 o'clock. Well, I woke up a little before 1 o'clock. And my stomach
hadn't been asleep yet because Frank would not stop spinning and his cone is huge. It's smacking things. It's just this whole thing.
He's making his cone everyone's problem. He's like whacking us left and right on purpose.
So I was about to go upstairs and be like, babe, what do I do with Frank? Like, he won't stop moving.
Yeah.
And I hear her little footsteps get out of bed. And I'm like, oh, she's awake.
My stomach for like maybe a half hour before this is just like in a knot. But it was a double injection night where I had to do estrogen and progesterone. And a couple times this has happened. It's made me nauseous. And I try to not do it too close to bed. But we forgot it was a double night. And we did my progesterone. And then right before bed, I think I had to do the estrogen. I think. It might have not been the case. But we did it late and I went to go to bed right after, which I try not to. So I woke up thinking that was the case. My medicine made me feel funky. And I was like, whoa, this is like an intense cramping in there. Then I started thinking like, is this a sign I'm pregnant? I literally was on ChatGPT being like, blah, 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 this is what I'm feeling. And it was like, that's a good sign. It was like fucking lying to me. And all of a sudden at almost 1 o'clock exactly, I like shut up and I was like, I need to run. And that's when you heard my little feet scurrying. And I forget you said to me like something.
I was like, Cam?
And I was like, hold on.
Yeah.
And ran to the bathroom and just projectile vomited.
And my first thought was, oh my God.
Morning sickness.
Morning sickness. Like, she is pregnant. She never throws up.
Yeah.
I'm like so happy.
Yeah. And that was my first thought too.
Yeah.
And literally as I was throwing up thinking, holy fuck, why isn't anyone telling you how much throw up it is? I thought morning sickness was like you felt a little queasy, maybe a little like bleh. I was like, this is like an exorcism. This is not normal.
There was nothing in her by the end of this.
Yeah, so like clockwork from 1 until about 7 a.m. every few minutes, it was like clockwork. I would like, Taryn made me a bed on the floor. I would lay down on my side. I would get a cramp. I like would have to lay on my back. I would do this weird big stretch. My whole body would cramp up. And then I would go out one end and go out the other end. Like back and forth.
And I'm running up and down the stairs all night because I can't let Frank be by himself because he keeps trying to come upstairs, smack his cone around. And Cam's projectile vomiting.
It was pure chaos.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Taryn makes me a bed on the bathroom floor. That's when she knew I was really bad that I like accepted a bathroom floor bed.
Without vacuuming.
Yeah, I almost asked you to clean the floor, but I was like, fuck it, whatever. And then she went downstairs and went to bed, and I just spent the next few hours in and out. And then I eventually somehow made it to the bedroom, and my like times became a little bit more. It was like contractions. I was like, they got a little longer.
Oh, we also called our doctor in the middle of the night.
Oh, yeah.
Cam never, ever wants to go to the doctor or talk to the doctor, anything.
Yeah, I'm like, it's fine. It's normal. I felt like something was like bad.
She texted me at like 2 a.m. and was like, you need to call Dr. Anderson.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you sure? Because they have like a night line.
Yeah.
So I called And then they were like, is this, I was like, she's throwing up. We've already done our transfer. Is this something we need to know? Blah, blah, blah. And the lady who answered the phone was like, let me get Dr. Anderson. It's over 2 a.m. And then she goes offline, comes back, and she goes, you have Dr. Anderson? And he's like, hello?
I felt so bad.
Dead
I was
asleep.
like, oh
we
my
woke
God.
him up in the middle of the night. He must have like an emergency pager or something.
Sorry, buddy.
And he was like, that is not normal. No, like.
Yeah, you're like, is this to be expected? Because when I was Googling, a lot of stuff said like, yeah, like throwing up, diarrhea, it's all
He's like,
normal.
that is not from this. Like, she needs to drink a ton of liquids, and like she has a virus for sure.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
I
good
first
night.
thought it was just food poisoning.
Yeah.
But it's so frustrating because I'm like, I have barely left the house since the transfer. How the hell am I getting this? But I was on prednisone, which lowers your immune system so that your body doesn't attack the embryo, thinking that it's like a foreign object that you don't want. So I think when I took Frank to his appointment, someone must have had a stomach virus, and just because my immune system was like so shut down, it took nothing. It was like a door handle or whatever, and I got it.
Yeah, because I never got it.
Yeah, thank God. Oh my God, I was so scared. I was like waiting for the second that you were up there with me. Well,
too.
when I thought it was food poisoning, I'm like, we ate the same exact dinner.
And like it was one of those dinners. It was like salmon and whatever. It was
salmon and veggies and sweet potatoes. I was like, what if I get sick from here?
but like fish.
And there's been so many food recalls that I was like,
I know.
or we had asparagus.
Yeah.
So I was like, a random food recall.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad you didn't get sick. But then it scared me. I was like, did I just like eject the baby?
Yeah. And then I called and they said it can't impact the baby.
Which I'm still uncertain of. But I don't think it did, because I think my levels, the HGC or whatever the hormone is that your body starts producing when you're pregnant, I think would have still been at some kind of level.
If you had gotten pregnant at some point.
I had like none.
Yeah. So she's like sick and sad this whole time. And
I was like, of course. Last thing I fucking need.
then we are so excited because it's Valentine's Day, and that's the day that we take the blood test. And we were like, this is fucking fate.
Taryn got me Valentine's Day flowers, and she had them come the day before.
So that she could have them for the day of our transfer.
Yeah, and they were so beautiful. They're like all blue.
For a little guy.
And they're so pretty.
That's what I feel. I know I shouldn't feel dumb, but that's what I mean, where I'm like, me getting blue ass flowers, and it's like,
it was sweet.
It is what it was.
Sentiment.
So we did our blood test. Everyone at the doctor's office is like so excited and rooting for you because they've been
here
with you for months.
6, 8, whatever, however many months.
And they're like, oh my gosh. And we like took pictures with our nurse and whatever. And they're like, yeah, we'll call you.
My blood test took so long because I was so dehydrated from being so sick.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening?
Yeah. And then they're like, we'll call you around noon. And this was at like 6:45 in the morning was our appointment.
Yeah.
So we were just like so excited the whole day, being like, oh my God, they're going to call. Then they called way earlier.
We just got home because it's quite far from us. So we had just gotten home, and I had just started numbing my side for my morning injection. And at 8:30, just after 8:30, my phone rang, and it was the doctor's office. And instantly my heart kind of sank. I was like, ooh, that feels not
real fast.
Good. They don't normally, like, they're pretty good with their timing. But only like a fleeting fear. Like, I didn't have a full thought. It was just like, fuck, that's early. But then like, maybe he's so excited to tell us the good news. And we were I think our appointment was 6:15.
Yeah.
Like, it was very early. So I was like, we're the first ones in. Like, maybe they got the results quicker.
And Cam is like trying to document all this. So she's like, the phone is ringing and she's like, get the camera, like film. And I'm like freaking out.
Yeah, you're like trying to work my camera.
Trying to set it up. It doesn't set up right, whatever. We put it kind of somewhere. I'm holding it. And his voice is like clearly sad. He's not the most emotive person in the world, but it was not a good call.
The second.
And he's like,
he said even like, oh, like, hi.
Morning, girls. How you guys doing? It was like that.
Yeah.
And
he's like, hi. Yeah, you knew.
And he's like, yeah,
I'm not going to make your day.
I'm not going to make your day. It didn't work. You know, there's no.
Yeah. And I just like instantly started sobbing. I like didn't even listen to the rest of it.
You actually didn't. We both waited. I bet if you watch back,
yeah,
you'll
you're
see.
right. The second
we
the phone
both
got
were
off.
like, okay. And then he like walks through what the next part of the process is.
I just didn't listen to that. I was like, I literally was like staring off into space.
And I'm holding the stupid camera and I'm like, never mind. And I like kind of like just put it away, but I think it was still recording.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't watched that.
But yeah, he just kind of walks us through. He's like, I'm so sorry, guys. Like, we're going to get it. I really wanted this one for you. That's when it got me. He's like, we really wanted this for you.
Yeah.
But like, we're going to get it.
Yeah.
And he's like, so when you guys are ready, you know, we'll pick it back up and,
Yeah.
you know, we can do it, blah, blah, blah. And then we both said, okay, thank you, Dr. Anderson, blah, blah, blah. Got off the phone and both of us were hysterical. Like, it was like clockwork. The second we ended that
we were like
phone
holding
call,
it in, trying to keep it together on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. And that really sucked. Just like now we have to do the mock trial, which is what we didn't want to do, but our doctor bakes that in. Now, if you have a failed transfer, you have to go through the mock trial, then find the best time to put in the progester to do the transfer, all the shit. And then we do it again. So,
So when we're ready and I have to my period has to start. And then from there, we can do the mock trial whenever we're ready. So we'll do that. That'll be a whole cycle. Go in. They'll take a biopsy of my uterus. And then I have to get my period again. Apparently that one like takes a little bit longer to get. And then when we're ready, we can do the next cycle to do the transfer. So
And-
minimum 2 months if we like do it all immediately.
and doing all this, you know, Cam is still coming off of a crazy stomach bug that she hasn't had something like this in years. And so I'm like, oh my God, I haven't felt so sad before. I need to distract myself. I need to like go out. I need to like go whatever. And Cam's like, I can't eat. I don't want to leave the house.
Yeah, I'm also coming off of all the hormones. So like,
Right.
I don't feel good. And I'm getting my period.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't feel great. I'm still like not mentally feeling awesome. Physically, like every time I eat, I kind of just feel nauseous.
And the original plan was like, it'll be sweet to find out on Valentine's Day regardless, because we'll either have like a celebratory dinner or like a dinner that's like, we are partners. We are getting through everything. Blah, blah, blah. Let's like go out and just like be together. But obviously she didn't feel good enough to go out.
Yeah,
so
I was
we
still
just
like so sick.
Yeah. So, you know, it was terrible timing and bad news. And
Yeah, not great.
Called my mom right away and told her, and she was the only one that knew on my side of the family. Everyone else, we gave them like the wrong dates and stuff. But you know, her and my dad were just like shattered, and everybody. It's just like, then you start texting the people that did know, and everyone's texting you, being like, "I'm sorry, guys." And it's just like, God, it fucking sucks. It sucks.
Yeah.
And then you really start realizing how hard a further along any level of a miscarriage would be.
Fertility
Chemical
issues
pregnancies, like, and when people talk about it, like we've said before, they say, oh, you know, I had a miscarriage on my second try, or I had a chemical pregnancy on my second IVF transfer or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's all in hindsight, and so it doesn't sound so big. But now I'm like, it's so big.
It's a really unique experience, because at the end of this, you have your kid who you love, and you wouldn't trade that specific human being for the world.
Right.
So you become really appreciative of every hard moment, because if any of that didn't happen, that kid would be different. So I think when you're on the other side of it, there still is pain and loss and hardship, especially if it's a chemical pregnancy or a miscarriage, where it's like that felt like you started to know your baby.
Right.
Like I said this on TikTok. I shared like a little bit of a brief summary of all this. I don't feel like I lost a kid.
No.
Like, I'm not mourning for like that lost embryo. I'm mourning for like this process is still going.
Same.
But yeah, I think farther along that would add a whole nother really difficult element. But I think, and it's been so nice, so many people have reached out to both of us and shared their hard times, and that has made this way easier to just like see people on the other end. But in debating how much we shared and how little we shared, it felt really important to share this and share it now.
Yeah.
Share it while we're really in it, because it's nice to see people on the other end. And I know, and like everyone's like, oh, it'll work for you when it's meant to work. And like, I know there's so much good intention behind those comments, but it irritates me every time, because I'm like, but that doesn't make it feel okay now. And there are certain people who like, I could be someone who never gets pregnant. Like, you don't know that it is going to work for me. So, and it's hard to think about the future when I'm in it now, when I'm sad now, when I'm exhausted now, when I'm mentally struggling now. It's like, I want this phase to be done.
Yeah.
So now it's not. And I need to like just sit in that for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it felt really important for us to kind of share this process as it's happening, because whether you're going through it now or you just to be more prepared for IVF, that like, I feel like we've talked about this throughout the entire process, but we felt going into this because we don't have fertility issues that we know of. We're just doing it because that's how we have to make a baby. We have to do our IVF, but like we have to go through fertility treatments if we want to do it this way. We just thought like, oh, we'll just check off the little steps, and each step will be one and done, and then we will have our baby. And it sucks that we have to go through this, and it's more money and it's energy and exhausting, but it's okay. So to have like hiccups, I just don't feel we were properly prepared for that.
Yeah.
So I think it's helpful for people to know that going through IVF, and if you end up going through IVF and having not the smoothest route, hopefully you can come back to this and hopefully see us when you're watching this in a few years, like with our kids, and be like, oh my God, they got there, but let me go see what that moment felt like in the moment. Yeah. Sad.
Also, everybody finds different things comforting and annoying. Like the way that those comments, like you talked about earlier, like irritating to you, I find them super comforting.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. I don't want people to feel like, oh, I want to be really careful with what I say or not say.
I mean, I think you always have to be careful when
should
it comes to
be.
fertility stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, no, I'm not like, how dare you say that? But I'm like, it's very like overly positive when it's like, oh, it'll all be worth it. It's like, okay, it takes away from the current pain.
Yeah.
I feel like, and sometimes you just got to sit in that.
I we went to a dinner after the transfer, but before we got the news, and sat next to a friend of mine who has like a under 1-year-old, and we're telling her all about our process and everything. And so we were like so excited for today. She was so excited for us, blah, blah, blah. She texted me and was like, I'm so sorry, you guys, when she just found out it didn't work. And I was like, it's okay. It's going to work. Like, it's going to work. And she was like, I also know it will, but that doesn't take away that this is like a loss in and of itself. And that message, I think, is what most people are trying to communicate.
Yeah.
At like a macro level, which is like, this sucks, but it will work. But this sucks.
Yeah.
And that's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
It's
if
gonna be
I
worth
don't
it.
speak into existence that it will work,
Oh yeah. Then
this
you're like,
is going to be the worst.
100%.
This is terrible.
No, I think it's great. And I'm reminding myself of that every day.
Yeah.
And it also is very comforting coming from people who have been through it. That they're like, oh, dude, I went through this many transfers or whatever, and now we have our beautiful baby. Like, I know this is tough, but it's going to be worth it. I more so mean like just people who don't really like understand the experience, or just like, oh, I'm sorry. Like it'll happen though. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
you're right. I'm fine now.
Yeah. I hear you.
But yeah, it's just
So that's where we're at.
That's where we're at.
Fun at Boston Roberts. Should we listen to our PP call-in for the day?
Yeah, let's do it. Before we jump into the PP question, we have an idea for next week's episode. We were on a walk and I just asked Taryn a very random question, and it prompted this whole idea of like a what if game. So my question to Taryn that we will answer next week, because we stopped in the moment because we were like, this is so funny. I want to enjoy this with the peepees. We were walking the dogs and I was like, what would you do if they just started talking? Because we speak for them all the time and like give them little characters. I was like, what would you do? And I always thought that growing up of like, if Toy Story happened, like your dolls started talking. So next week we're going to switch gears and make it a little light and funny. So we want you guys to send in your what if questions. They can be weird. They can be silly.
No, like, what if Cam died? Like, no, we're trying to do this as a reprieve of joy. Yeah. And so if
they can be philosophical and like a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
But nothing too horrific.
Because I had a good one.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You said
let
you
me
wrote
give
one
my
down.
example.
I'm going to do a post on our Instagram story. So go over to Staying Up Pod Instagram and send in your
Or let's
views.
just do it on the grid so that people can like each other's and stuff.
Okay, there we go. So you guys can vote for other ones that you want us to do.
Oh, I just wrote if your dog talked, so it was yours. Well, I forgot what mine was then because I had a good one.
Oh, no. You'll remember it.
Anyway, give us some goodies. And also, you can make them like personal to us since you know us.
Yeah. They
like,
can be detailed.
Yeah, they can be detailed. So please do that.
All right, let's get into the listener gossip story.
Hi, this is weird, but I need some advice. Also, sorry, I'm getting over a cold and I've been stuck in the house because of snow, so I'm going crazy. And then I'm going crazy over this situation, so here I am. So basically, my ex and I of 8 years broke up about 3 months ago, and honestly, we should have broken up 4 years ago. It was just like I care about her and love her as a person, but we were not great together, and I sacrificed a lot of things and dealt with a lot of things that I shouldn't have, and gave up, the idea of getting married and having kids and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, so basically I grieved and kind of withdrew from that relationship while I was in it. And so therefore I hate to say it, like I feel a lot of peace and just like relief that ended. And it was also like a mutual decision. But anyways, the twist to this is that kind of when things were falling apart with my ex, I met someone, and full intention of just being friends. Like it is hard as hell to make friends at 30. But there was just like this click with this girl, and feelings happened, and things kind of progressed, of course, like after my ex and I broke up. And I think she's like it, and I know that's crazy, and I know how girls work, like we move fast and things like that, but I'm also 30 and we want the same things, and everything is just, it works with her. And so basically I just want to know, is there such a thing as like too soon, especially coming out of like such a long relationship? I know like I said, I know 8 years is a long time, but also there's a lot to it, a lot that like no one knows. But yeah, I have like a lot of support from friends and family about this, and I think I'm just struggling with the timing of it, and maybe it's like some self-sabotage too, but I mean, ultimately I just want to be happy and like have that future family and marriage and like a life with someone that I was kind of giving up just for the sake of, being with someone for so long. So yeah, that's my story. If you share this and respond to it, thank you. It's been a crazy few months, but love you guys. Thank you.
I think that there is such a thing as too soon. I don't know that this is that. There's definitely messy ways to get into new things. And even those are not always wrong. Like sometimes life is just messy. But I think an 8-year relationship is really long. And someone coming into that, even just as a friend, but as like there's something in the water vibes, while it's ending, is like a tough thing to process with a clear mind. But also, so is a lot of life and ending a relationship and starting a new one and all the things. So it's like, there's no like there's a right thing. I think there are definitely, like I always say, there's like not always a right answer, but there are definitely wrong answers, and I wouldn't think that this is like the wrong way to go about it. I think if you are feeling pause, if you're in your heart feeling a little bit in your gut like, oh, this is a little bit faster than I feel actually comfortable with, I would listen to that. And I don't think it's like, let's call it off. I think it's like, let's not run into forever right away. Which, like you said, lesbians have a tendency to do. So I think my read of your situation specifically isn't that this is like, oh my God, she's being so messy and irresponsible and she's running into the next thing and like, this is so crazy, blah, blah, blah. It's like sometimes people show up at just the right time and it feels like the wrong time, but it's also the right time. And this is, listen to your gut and don't run into it, but also don't end it, is what I would say on first listen.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's interesting. It's like you're justifying it and sharing it and saying you have support and like everything is saying this is okay. But then there is that pause, like enough that you called in. Like there's something there where I think like it all feels right to you, but then you're like, you seem very level-headed that you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So I totally agree. I don't think it's something that needs to be called off, but let's try to sit down and look at this from an outside perspective of, even though, and I get that, like a long relationship that ended a long time ago. So you think like, oh, I've already mourned that. So there's not like, it's not a back-to-back relationship really in the same way. You still haven't been with just yourself, which I think is like
in like 8 years.
Yeah. Which I think can be a misconception. Like we do a lot of growth. I've grown more in the past, however many years we've been together, 5 years, than a lot of my life. Like you grow with people. You don't only grow when you're on your own. But there are some things that could be happening here. There's some like trauma bonding by having somebody there for you while you're going through the end of your relationship. There's certain things that you just, I think, need to be aware of. Make sure that you're doing stuff for yourself. Do all the things you would do after a breakup, but you can still do that while dating this new person. Make sure you're doing things that really fill your cup up and have joy on your own with just friends. Don't like, I think why a lot of times girls move so quickly is because we're also best friends. So it's like we're enjoying doing all the same things together. We're spending hours talking. We're spending hours being intimate. Like there's so many, it's so multifaceted that it's easy to spend every waking and sleeping second together. So I think you need to like go through your breakup checklist kind of like go to therapy, see how you're feeling inside, go do things that make you happy, go on a trip alone, like do those things to make sure you feel grounded and centered and moved on from that relationship. Because even though it was one of those relationships that ended early, it's like there's just still just like a breakup process that I think your head and your heart need that can get clouded by the new excitement of a person because you want to spend every waking second with a new person.
And 8 years is like your entire 20s.
Yeah, that's
You're 30.
Long time.
So that was 22 to 30. I'm a completely, that's not true. I was going to say I'm a completely different person. But like,
I feel like a pretty completely
a lot of
different
me
person.
is the same, but there are fundamentals about me that are different.
Totally.
It also sounds like you changed a lot in those 8 years and let go of a lot of things that you actually really care to have and want. And like, and I would be a little nervous if I was in your shoes that I didn't fully understand what I wanted apart from this next person. Because like you're finally getting the opportunity to think and be open and be like, okay, what could I actually have now? And when someone else's thoughts are also in that, I feel it would be hard for me to not let that judge or not let that like push into what I actually want because I just did that for 8 years with someone else. I just let this other relationship change what I want. So who's to say it's not going to happen again? So I agree with you that it's like, let yourself grieve. I wouldn't cut it off because this person sounds, like you said, if everything you're saying is like really how it is, then this person sounds great for you. And like,
and if they are your person, they're going to understand you doing this process because it's for the greater good of the relationship too.
100%.
You don't want to end up 8 years down the road and like it kind of meshes into the same pattern because of that. Like, I think I relate to this. We started dating soon after our relationships before us. And I think there was so much excitement, especially because we were friends for so many years before that. And like, we never lived in the same city when we were friends. So it was always kind of like a distant friendship. But when we were together, it was so great and so wonderful. So I think us technically being long distance, like Taryn was in San Francisco when we started dating, was so helpful.
Yeah.
I was living alone. I had so much time to just focus on me. I was getting up every morning and going to a workout class with my friends. Like, I did things that really grounded me and got me back to me.
Yeah.
And I was leaving a relationship that I really knew I didn't want to be in, and that was like very clearly over. So to me, there wasn't a fear of like, oh, I'm just jumping into a new thing.
Yeah.
But having that space, that forced space, really helped. And I don't know that I would have been able to like take that space if you lived nearby, because I was like wanted to be around you every second.
Yeah.
And we visited each other most weekends even. But having those weekdays for us to both focus on work and our lives and go out to dinner with friends and talk about our breakups with our friends and the new relationship with friends, like that was really helpful.
And to be like, is this too soon? To get to like voice that and like, and I guess like my final thought of it is like, it's not about there being a time on paper that is too soon. It is about if you have pause at the end of the day and you feel like, is this maybe a little too soon? It's maybe a little too soon. That's, again, not to say cut them out or stop dating. It's to say, don't go faster. And don't let yourself get to the next part, because that's very easy to do. We all know how easy that is to do. I would just be more cautious than not. Yeah. In terms of like, hey, I don't want to regret what we have. And I feel like what we have is really good. So let's do it right. Have a minute.
Yeah. Force a little bit of space and time. Like, obviously you guys don't have a flight between you like we did. That was very helpful, but just be like, we can't hang out every day. I need to make sure I'm going through this process right, so that I can kind of like calm those fears.
And if she knows you, which sounds like she really does, 8 years of anything is a very long time. That's 2 times college. That's 2 times high school. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
That's so much time.
Yeah, that's all of high school and college put together.
Yes. And it's like, whoa. This person, if they are your person, should be able to be like, that's so fair. Yeah. 8 years is kind of nuts. Let's like, pump and the brakes. They should want you to be fully you before getting together with them.
Yeah.
I think you're doing it right. I think just don't go to like, let's move in together right now. Like, that seems a little rash.
Yeah. And we accidentally did 4 months into dating because of the pandemic. But even just those 4 months of long distance really, I think, centered both of us.
I think so too.
So much. So it's like, and there's probably 1,000,001 people who go, whoa, that's way too fast. 4 months of dating, you were living together and you had just gotten out of relationships. Like, that's all too fast. But we're married now and having babies together. So clearly, like, it worked for us. So there, like Taryn said, there's no timeline.
Our situation was different because we had known each other for so long.
Yeah.
So I knew who you were. I knew what you wanted. I knew you.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
we saw each other in and out of multiple relationships too. Of like, we saw when it looked right on us in a relationship, when it looked wrong on us, and how it impacted us as individuals. Yeah, I think that is a hard comparison, but I'm just saying every relationship is nuanced. The time, like, that's why you can't be like, you must be out of a relationship for X amount of days or months or years and this long till moving in. Like, everyone's different. So just like trust yourself a little bit and try to assess like where are those fears coming? Are they coming from a real legitimate place, or is it just like outside noise? Like just sit with yourself. But that's the point. Yourself.
Yeah.
Outside of that new relationship.
Sit with you.
You got this. We love you.
We love you. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks for calling in. Please send us your voicemails. I forget the phone number. Let me find it really, really, really quickly so that if you want to call in and leave a voicemail, you can at 323-577-8857. Has to be under 3 minutes or it will cut you off. We love you guys so much, and we will see you next week for our fun little light-hearted silly game.
Bye, peepees. Love you.
Bye.